Rom-coms feel like they have the lowest floor but the highest ceiling when it comes to film. What do I mean by that? Well, rom-coms seem to be the easiest films to make people smile, cry, and then laugh, but the hardest to stick out, to be iconic, memorable, and among people's favorite films. They're actually similar to action movies in that regard. The memorable part, not the cry part. It's rare to find rom-coms with scenes that stick out to people. Sure, there have been a few memorable ones people come back to here and there. When Harry Met Sally is a classic for a reason, with its diner scene especially sticking out. Crazy Stupid Love has probably one of the best ensemble twist reveal moments ever. The problem is when you look at the rom-com genre now, these movies are kinda mid. They're not bad, just forgettable, even if a little enjoyable. Anyone But You and People We Meet on Vacation are textbook examples of this modern rom-com. And while I could make a whole video discussing why they fail, it would also be boring and repetitive, kinda like they are. Especially since it really stems from one answer: their lack of embracing endearing cheese, especially in the most pivotal part of the movie, the climax. The ability to be wholesome and over-the-top funny at the same time is crucial for rom-coms. These modern movies lack that, choosing instead to find ways to discuss meta-commentary that just ends up disingenuous. But what do I mean by good cheese? Isn't something that's cheesy considered cliche, silly, and thus bad? Not necessarily. That may be hard to understand, so maybe the best way to explain this is by showing you rather than telling you. Showing how one of my favorite rom-coms creates incredible cheese, making it iconic, especially at the finish line. That film is none other than The Wedding Singer. The airplane climax is probably one of the funniest and most endearing moments in cinema for me, balancing silly comedy and raw emotion. It is what a rom-com should strive to do. Today, let's discuss creating an iconic rom-com scene, and especially an iconic rom-com climax, in a scene that will make the movie stick with you for years, with its balance of the genre. A true rom-com will embrace camp and sincerity, especially in its best scenes and its climaxes. The airplane climax of The Wedding Singer does just that. And while it is at the end of the movie, with proper setup and payoff, I also think it's just an incredible scene standing on its own. That's actually really important, and we'll get back to that. It's also extremely rare, especially for a climax. You can watch this scene like a short film and get a good understanding of our rootable protagonist, our endearing love interest, and our despicable villain just in this scene alone. And considering that the rest of the scene is just topped off by an ensemble of hilarious side characters that don't appear up until this point, really makes this scene special and standalone. To analyze it, I'm going to do something different, and I'm going to play the scene and pause it at specific intervals to show that almost every moment either builds the characters, creates the setting, or adds to being a focus of romance and comedy, all in one incredible package. Let's get started. While this scene is technically set up with Adam Sandler's character Robbie just barely boarding a flight in first class, if you watch this scene as a standalone, you honestly don't even need it as setup. So I actually think the scene is begun with our first of many funny plane transitions. First off, I love this. A hilarious guitar riff outburst and how often it will come up throughout the scene to show a passing of time is genius. But we'll get back to that too. Anyways, we really start our scene with Julia and Glenn.
Hey, Glenn. Do you mind if we switch seats and I sat in the window seat?
I hate the aisle seat. Every time that drink cart comes by, it bangs me in the elbows. Your arms are smaller than mine, Jules.
First off, I just want to say that starting the scene with a discussion about plane seating is a great choice. It uses the setting to its advantage, one of our points, by really telling us the difference between Julia and Glenn, our other point. Julia seems gentle and sweet, asking her boyfriend for something that is reasonable and that she loves. But Glenn? Yeah, he's an asshole, who shuts her down with what seems like a fair argument at the time, but we'll soon see is complete BS. Kinda like him.
I know, I just never saw the bright lights of Vegas before.
Julia giving an understanding motivation, all while not sounding guilt-trippy, is really good acting and delivery, as it shows her not being manipulative, but gentle and wishful. Kinda like a Disney princess.
Tell you what, how about I let you lean over me when we fly over the strip, okay?
Glenn then once again shuts her down with what seems like a compromise, but is really just a sexualized and selfish gesture. Him even phrasing it with a "let you" to Jules is even more manipulative, as it makes him sound like he has power over her at all times. She smiles in agreement, showing she's really just complacent, but the smile drops immediately, showing her powerlessness without feeling obvious to the audience. Good acting. Yeah, another plane transition. I love it. But now we finally introduce our protagonist. Seeing this as a standalone scene, we have to introduce his character, mainly his difference from Glenn if he's going to serve as our love interest, but as well as his motivations and goals.
Oh my, I'm sorry. Never been on first class before.
This is once again a subtle use of the plane environment to build Robbie. Sure, we get some Sandlerisms, but it really shows Robbie as apologetic, kind, and outspoken. Being that he mentions it being his first time in first class, it shows you his disillusionment yet appreciation for higher wealth and status. But not in a mean way, like Julia's comment from earlier that could have been taken differently with a different delivery. That's the point. These are our protagonists, not our villains.
Sir? Is that Billy Idol? I believe it is. Oh my god.
Now we have what may be the best celebrity cameo ever put to film, and that's the quick intro of Billy Idol. I love that he's introduced to the audience in case you wouldn't recognize him, and it's actually important too, as he will be a major player in the rest of the scene. Plus his recognition from Robbie, who is an aspiring singer, shows Robbie's respectful admiration for talent and status.
Would you like some champagne or some orange juice?
How much is it?
It's free.
It's what? Holy shit, this is incredible.
Yeah, just another further addition to grow the setting, and Robbie's character, his outspoken nature, along with him being a guy not used to wealth, also makes for great comedy, one of our important elements to track and something I haven't really been talking about enough.
Actually, I shouldn't drink. I fell in love with this girl, and she's gonna marry an idiot, so I'm on my way to Vegas to stop them.
Now we finally get Robbie's motivation, which is important in a standalone environment. If you've been watching the movie, it may seem redundant, as we should know this, but it cleverly isn't done that way, as he needs him telling the flight attendant for another big reason.
That's the sweetest thing I've ever heard. Where are they getting married?
That's the problem. I don't know where, but I'm gonna run around and find them, I gotta do what I gotta do.
See, Robbie ends up explaining it to a random lady in first class, who sees his whims as grand and romantic, not only cementing our scene and its conflict as a rom-com, but introducing another side character that will help Robbie on his journey to love. Yeah, another one of these. It's just so funny to me.
Oh, next time they come by, grab me a Heineken, will ya?
We finally transition back to Julia and Glenn, since we really just got a lot of background from Robbie. This not only begins to recontextualize their supposed happy relationship from earlier, but this scene continues to double down on their problems. We see that Julia isn't happy and is actually resentful of Glenn, doing something like looking out the window, when this distraction leads to her getting hit by the drink cart, something that Glenn predicted. This is especially bad too, since it shows his BS argument from earlier of Julia having smaller arms being exactly bullshit, like him. Then once she does get hit, he doesn't even care to check on her, instead asking her to get him a beer. The classic dismissive bad boyfriend line. But it works here, as you really need to show Glenn as despicable, so we root for his downfall by Robbie, especially because these people are in a relationship. Finally, ending this last bit off of Julia so upset she thinks to herself on where this new life will take her, is brilliant. We now especially feel bad for her that as a Disney princess, she needs that knight in shining armor to find her. Yes, another one of these. It just doesn't get old though, plus the passing of time is important for our next scene.
Over to tell me how she feels, and Linda answers the door wearing nothing but my Van Halen t-shirt.
No way.
I love how this part starts you off with continuing Robbie's rant from earlier, but shocks you that he's talking to everyone in first class. You expect him to be talking to the old lady, but his outspoken and genuine nature attracts everyone else, which is realistic, but is also portrayed in a pretty funny way. And while he recounts moments from the movie, it really isn't important what he's saying, but the context of telling this cast of memorable supporting characters. The "no way" also starts a funny gag, which we'll see later.
I don't know what to do. She's getting married and he's gonna ruin her life.
Yeah, Glenn doesn't deserve her. All he cares about are possessions. Fancy cars, CD players. Even women are possessions to him.
This is just funny to see Billy Idol's rock star wisdom on love. He talks in this uniquely poetic way that also just sounds like song lyrics. I love this cheesy dialogue here as it fits the vibes of the scene, as does Sandler's reaction.
See, Billy Idol gets it. I don't know why she doesn't get it.
Oh, I hope you find her.
It's the perfect use of Robbie's down-to-earth nature balanced with funny sarcasm that even Billy Idol, the rock star, is able to understand the situation. The part ends off with the old lady's "I hope you find her" to really tie back into Robbie's conflict and goal.
You guys will not believe this. Some creeping coach who thinks he's Don Johnson just asked me to be part of the Mile High Club. He said I was grade A, top choice meat.
I just love that the flight attendant comes to talk to this gangle of first-class attendants like a gossiping club. Really draws you into what Robbie has created with his funny conflict. However, this flight attendant's conflict, while initially seeming disconnected, sets up the possibility of something else being at play. Something that Robbie is the only one to pick up on.
Is he right in here?
What's the Mile High Club?
This is easily the funniest line in the entire scene and probably the movie as well. The addition here is a great release from narrative tension while not completely removing it. I never understood what this was as a kid, but watching it when I'm older, the question about the Mile High Club is extremely funny, with it being accurately asked by the hopeless romantic yet dopey old lady. And seeing Billy Idol's reaction is priceless. Bro knows what's up. As does the old Asian guy behind him, which I also just discovered and I think is just hilarious.
Oh my god, the Mile High guy is Glenn. They're on this plane.
No way!
You guys gotta help me.
Right! Yeah!
This is a great reveal and what it instills in our protagonist. Sure, I always thought it was kinda obvious they'd be on the same flight, but that's not what's important. It's rather what it evokes from Robbie and the rest of the passengers. It shows Robbie's ability to bring people together through kindness, which we see as a strength of his earlier in the movie since he's a wedding singer. It, however, is especially important as it shifts the focus of the scene from being about Robbie talking and complaining to Robbie taking action. And this is all incorporated with funny and cheesy comedy, from the "no way" callback from earlier to Billy Idol's "right." This is the perfect setup of the real meat and potatoes of the scene, but before we get into Robbie's action... Okay, I had to. This happens 5 times and it gets me every time.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're flying at 26,000 feet, moving up to 30,000 feet, and we got clear skies all the way to Las Vegas. And right now we're bringing you some in-flight entertainment.
This is a great intro to the grand romantic gesture. Utilizing Billy Idol more is always great, plus I love how Julia is reading a magazine with him on the cover. Kind of a small Easter egg.
One of our first-class passengers would like to sing you a song inspired by one of our coach passengers. And since we let our first-class passengers do pretty much whatever they want, here he is.
Although he speaks in obscurities, he mainly just clues the audience into Robbie singing a song for Julia. Once again, it's funny because of the first-class line deliveries, but also just another clever use of the environment, a plane.
Make you smile whenever you're sad. Carry you around when your arthritis is bad. All I wanna do is grow old with you.
This is what the whole scene has really been leading up to, and one of the best choices has been not revealing Robbie. Instead, the scene focuses on Julia and her reactions to this weird but endearing set of events. I love watching her start with misery, then turn to confusion with Billy Idol's speech, to gradual shock and happiness when she hears Robbie's voice. Drew Barrymore really nails the damsel in distress Disney princess archetype, which I normally don't like, but is actually pretty damn effective in this instance. Really shows you something.
Get your medicine when your tummy aches. Build you a fire if the furnace breaks. So it could be so nice growing old with you.
Now that we got to see Julia's reactions in the setup to the song, we now have the gradual build-up with Robbie's quick perspective with the lyrics being held for him by Billy Idol, which is a great touch of the actual successful musician helping a struggling one. We also quickly see the rest of the passengers watching, building up the grandeur.
I'll miss you, kiss you, give you my coat when you are cold. Need you, feed you, even let you hold the remote control.
Robbie's reveal here is impeccably timed. I cannot stress that. It brings out reactions from the passengers, but still focuses fully on him and Julia. This is also the first time we see Julia genuinely smile and exude happy and positive energy. I guess now is a pretty good time as ever to mention the lyrics and song itself. The fact that it's an original, not just for the characters, but for the movie, definitely adds a sense of genuine emotion and heart. Adam Sandler wrote it for the movie, and it works for Robbie's character, mixing clever romantic lines with bits of comedy. The holding the remote line always gets me, especially with how it makes Julia laugh.
What the hell's that fruit doing here?
Get out of the way! Excuse me, sir, I have to serve the beverages.
Glenn finally is injected into the scene with the laughably mean-spirited line of calling Robbie a fruit. I always thought this was the perfect thing Glenn would call Robbie, really showing that the lines here are carefully chosen and that Glenn is really disrespectful. I love that Glenn tries to take action with brute force and intimidation, really showing further who he is at his core. But now we got the other supporting characters, like the crew members, to help Robbie out and stop Glenn.
How you doing, sir? Chicken or fish?
You better get out of my way, Billy. You're gonna get hurt.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you talk to Billy Idol that way.
This is the perfect downfall for Glenn. It's super satisfying, yet just rightly over the top to match the aura of the scene. I also think it's perfectly paced as it's given enough time, but doesn't try to take away from the real moment. We literally see Julia not give a shit as to what happens to Glenn. Also, for Glenn's downfall to be at people he walks all over against is poetic, and I love that.
Let me do the dishes in our kitchen sink. Put you to bed when you've had too much to drink. Oh, could be a man grows old with you. I wanna grow with you.
We end off our grand romantic gesture with the end of the song having Robbie land right next to Julia. See what I did there? Land. But yeah, it ends on an emotional note, and of course, we have everyone cheer to add to our cheese, even if it is realistic, because I mean, people clap after a flight lands. What the fuck even is that about? See, but the scene's main focus is still Romeo and Juliet. I mean, Robbie and Julia. Their relationship is the core, and since we haven't seen them interact in this climax, we still need to sell their chemistry.
That was the most beautiful song.
I got a confession to make. That song was about you. I'm in love with you.
I am so in love with you.
I love Robbie's funny and down-to-earth line of saying the song is about her, and her reaction to that is super cute, which all then ends with a satisfying moment where they profess their love. And right when you think that's gonna be it, the scene hits you with a final comedic moment that doesn't diminish the romance.
Hey, Robbie, that wasn't a bad song. You know, I'm going to tell this record company guys about you.
Mind if I give her a kiss first?
Oh, yeah, do what you got to do.
Yeah, I'm never gonna refuse more Billy Idol. This interruption isn't completely out of nowhere and is actually super in character and, of course, funny. What really sells it though is Robbie's deadpan line of reminding Billy Idol and the audience what this scene really is about. The romance, not the comedy. Although that definitely helps. Our star-crossed lovers finally get together and it ends with their marriage. And that's really all you need. As a climax of the film, it works, but as I said earlier, the fact that it stands on its own is pure genius. It focuses on the romantic conflict in a creative setting that makes good use of the environment to further the story in a climactic way. It uses comedy to lighten the tension in key moments and make the characters memorable. I mean, I'm always going to remember the aisle window seat debacle, the champagne from first class, and of course, the Mile High Club. But most importantly, it focuses our story on the characters, with a rootable protagonist in the down-to-earth Robbie, a gentle and lovable damsel in Julia, and the despicable and sleazy villain in Glenn. And it's got memorable side characters. I mean, is that Billy Idol? Oh my god! I mean, this movie really just proves that rom-coms used to hit different. The romantic gesture in a comedy film can still be magical if you write it in a unique yet consistent way to the rest of the film. You still have to adhere to movie themes and create scenarios for our characters to act accordingly, but challenge them just enough. The Wedding Singer is a peak rom-com, and the airplane climax is unironically one of, if not the best rom-com scene of all time. I'm hopeful that one day we'll get a movie that creates a rom-com climax that was once as special as this. Thank you for watching, everybody. What is your favorite rom-com scene? Are rom-com movies as bad as they think they are nowadays? Please let me know in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and please check out my other videos on my channel and follow my Instagram at filmski07 for more film content like this. Thank you, and have a good day. Bye.